Helping Officer 30th and Martin Avenue. Helping Officer 30th and Martin Avenue. Helping Officer 30th and Martin Avenue. Officer down.
The call all officers hate to hear. WOWT 6 News is on the scene after a shooting. Good evening, I'm Mallory Maddox.
And I'm John Nicely. Joe is on assignment. Happening locally live at 5, WOWT 6 News continues to track local breaking news. An officer and a suspect rushed to a hospital in extremely critical condition after a shooting. Our map shows us the area. It was just before 1 o'clock this afternoon. Officers were serving a warrant near Martin Avenue and Reed Street when shots were fired. An officer and the suspect were wounded. WOWT 6 News has team coverage of tonight's big story. WOWT 6 News reporter Brian Mastre is on the scene and reporting from 30th and Martin. Joe Chiodo has also been monitoring the situation, as well as Lena Tillett and Brandon Scott, all of them tracking this local breaking news.
John Mallory, it is a much calmer scene here 4 hours later than when we first arrived. It was just chaos as officers were flooding the area with manpower. Let's take a look at some of the images that we saw when we first arrived. There was an individual being carried out on a stretcher. We've kind of blurred a bit of the image so that it is not identifiable. You had officers flooding the neighborhood, scouring for other suspects. There was an individual, a suspect that was shot in the backyard in this area, and as we mentioned, a female officer with the task force. This is the first comments that came from the Omaha Police Department in the words of Deputy Chief Dave Baker.
For this incident, at 12:55 this afternoon, officers from the OPD Fugitive Unit were serving a felony arrest warrant in the area of Reed and Martin. In the process of that service, shots were fired. As a result of that shots fired, an officer was transported to Creighton University Hospital, code 99, and a suspect was transferred to Creighton University Hospital, code 99 as well. More information will be coming out on the press release, as we said, and we anticipate that the press conference will either be later this evening or tomorrow morning. We aren't releasing names at this time, and out of respect for families, making sure that everybody is aware prior to the release of names. So we ask you to bear with us. Information will be coming out as soon as we can do so. Thank you. Deputy Chief Dave Baker.
So that was the last condition check that we had, was critical condition for both the suspect and the female officer from the Omaha task force. They were in the neighborhood to serve a warrant. Now, for a while, and we'll zoom into the scene, see this white home with the blue trim. Investigators have been dealing in that backyard much of the day. Well, just in the last 40 minutes or so, the owner of that home came up to me to clear things up. He said, hey, the warrant was being searched on that home. It was being searched in the neighborhood, and the suspect had fled to the backyard, and he had actually seen the guy get shot. Here's more of what he told me.
I just ran outside to try to get the guy help.
Can you describe him?
I don't know. It was just crazy.
Was he talking? Was he?
No, he just fell over and his eyes went open and rolled back. That was it.
Now, early on, it was a bit more tense here because, A, you had an officer who had been shot in the line of duty, and you had suspects that were still on the loose. Over on the other side is where investigators have been looking for evidence, and as you heard in the audio tape at the top of the broadcast, that's when they said, we do not have eyes on one of the suspects. We should hear more in terms of the conditions, but as you can tell from around here, it does not look good for the police officer. We will stay on the scene and bring you the latest as it becomes available. Reporting live from 30th and Martin, I'm Brian Mastre, WOWT 6 News.